Hey everyone, my name is Alex Bride and welcome to my channel. So today I'm making focaccia bread. Well, technically I started yesterday, but that's besides the point. I found this recipe online. I will put the link below in the notes. And it was definitely interesting to make. I would not say I'm an expert bread maker at all, but it tastes pretty good and it's cheaper than buying it, so there's that. I hope you enjoy and happy Monday. This recipe called for some salt, some olive oil, flour, instant yeast, and some water. It also called for butter, but I guess that was just for greasing the pan. I ended up not using it. I just used olive oil, but if you get butter, that's kind of good. So this brand, Aaliyah, is from Carter Imports. It is great. I'm going to put the information in the description. Go check them out. So this called for 4 cups of flour. As you can see, I'm just adding the flour here. And then you're going to add this instant yeast, and it's 2 teaspoons. I had a hard time getting it out of the bag just because of how I ripped the bag. But anyways, so you put that in there. And then you add 2 teaspoons of salt. I also had a hard time getting it out of the container, so there's one, yay. And this one, you're gonna laugh at this one. It was just the struggle. Oh my gosh. Okay, look at that. That was so difficult. I was so afraid I was gonna just like knock like a tablespoon, multiple tablespoons in there on accident. Finally got it going though, so there you go. Pour that in there, and then you actually are supposed to, mix it up all the dry stuff together, so that way it's evenly dispersed. And then you're gonna add the water. So this was 2 cups of water, and it was supposed to be like kind of lukewarm, not necessarily room temperature, but a little bit warmer than that. The recipe called for like half of it to be from boiling water and half of it from being cold water, but I didn't do that. So anyways, you're supposed to have like a bread thing. I don't know what it's called, but I didn't have it, so I used a whisk, which isn't really what you're supposed to use, but it is what it is. So then you kind of like form it into a ball, and you add some olive oil. So you add it so that way it kind of greases the top before you let it rise overnight. So I let it rise for about, I don't know, I guess 18 hours-ish. The recipe says anywhere between minimum of 12 hours in the fridge, but the lady that made the recipe, she's left it in for 24 hours before. So you put it in and you let it rise. And then you take these 2 forks and you pull the dough together to deflate it, as the recipe says, and you want to form it to the ball, and then form it. And then next you're gonna put it in a greased pan, and then you're gonna let it sit for 3 hours, and then it will look nice like this. You're gonna add some more olive oil to the top. It calls for 2 tablespoons. So you add it on top. As you are spreading it around, you're gonna want to stretch the dough out to the corners of the pan as much as you can, and kind of you're gonna make these deep punctures into the dough. This is kind of what gives it that, focaccia texture. I don't know else what you call it. The lady called it dimples, so we're gonna call it dimples. So you do that, and then you add some salt. I didn't measure this, and so I actually don't know what the recipe called for, but I just kind of let the salt fly, what kind of looked good. For specific measurements, you can look at the recipe. So then you take it and you put it in the oven, which you preheated for 425. and you're gonna bake it for, I did it for 25 minutes, but the recipe calls for either 25 minutes or 30 minutes. And when it's done, you're gonna take it out, and oh, there was a huge like air bubble in it, but that's okay. So I'd like to also add that I'm currently editing all of this from my phone. Premiere doesn't really like to work on my computer, but anyways, look at that. Oh my gosh, I was so worried I was gonna drop it there. And then you're gonna let it cool on a cooling rack before you cut it up. And I'm gonna make sandwiches with this because I love like focaccia sandwiches. Also, I know it's not a bread knife, don't come at me please. But look at this. Oh my gosh, see that was air bubbles coming up. But oh my gosh, look at this. It's so good. I already ate a decent amount of it. But it's besides the point. Look at that. In hindsight, I maybe would have cooked it a little bit longer, but because it was on the doughier side, so it just depends on what kind of crispiness you want. But yeah, thanks for joining.